Variables in C programming. Now, variable is defined as the reserved memory space which stores a value of a definite data type. Now, you can watch my earlier videos on various data types in C programming for knowing what data types which can be defined within the variables. Now, the value of variable is not constant. Instead, it allows changes into that. That's why the name is variables. Now, there are mainly 5 types of variables supported in C programming. So we will be discussing all of them one by one. So let's start with the first. We can categorize local. Now, any variable that is declared at the inside of a code block or a function and has the scope confined to the particular block of code or within the function, it is called as local variable. For example, if let's say I say this is what we have done so many times when we write the main function, and in the main function if I declare integer let's say a is equal to 10. Now this particular variable is a local variable and it can be used within this main function. This is called as local variable. The second category of variables is your global variables. Okay. Now, global variables, any variable that is declared at the outside a code block or a function and has the scope across the entire program and allows any other function to change its value is known as global variable, right? So in local, we have already defined that within the code block, within the function, the variables which are defined. Now in global, outside the code block, outside the function, the variables are declared and the function is allowed to change its value. For example, let's say if I write integer n is equal to, let's say 5, and now I start my void main. So my this particular integer variable is written outside the code block of main, and now I can have certain data members or code functions inside the main function. Now if this integer n is accessible by the code inside this void main, then we call this as a global variable. Okay, so written outside the block or function and has a scope across the entire program. Now coming back to the third category of variable, that is our static variables. Now any variable that is declared using a keyword static. If we write a static keyword, then it is known as a static variable, and static variable retains the declared value throughout the entire execution of a program and will not be changed between multiple function calls, whereas the global variable can be modified by different functions, right? But the static variable is it is accessed or it is defined with a keyword known as static. Okay, and the value will be retained, right? it will be retained and cannot be modified. So it will be retained throughout the execution of program. Throughout execution of program. Now we have the next category of the variables, which is your automatic variables. Okay. Now, if I say automatic variable, so the meaning is that it is declared automatically. So in case of C programming, if explicitly you want to declare a automatic variable, we will be using a keyword auto. Okay, AUTO. This is the keyword which we will be using. Now by default, all the variables declared in C language are, by default, they are automatic in nature. That means the variable which I have written over here, integer a, or the variable I have written here, these are by default your automatic variables. Okay. If we do not write anything in front of it. If we wish to tell, then we can simply write auto integer n. Okay. The last category of variables in C programming is external. Now, external variables are declared by using a keyword extern. Okay. EXTERN, extern, and we can share a variable in multiple C source file by using an external variable. Okay, so we can share it, among multiple C source files. So as you can see here that a local variable, the scope is within the function or code block. If we have a global keyword with it, and if we write a global variable, then we have the scope of the variable across the entire program, and the different functions can modify the value. If the variable is of static type, then the value will be retained throughout the execution of the program. That means no other variable can now modify the value, and the automatic variable can be declared with the keyword auto, and by default all variables are automatic if we explicitly do not tell about the global or static or external. And the last category is external variable. The keyword is used extern, and these type of variables can be shared amongst multiple C files. That means the scope is now increased to multiple files. Okay, in first one, local within the block, global outside the function, outside the block, static cannot be modified, automatic by default definition, external, the scope is now enlarged to multiple C files or multiple programs. Thank you for watching.